low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all.
What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today we have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because Donald Trump just had a very successful interview on Twitter with Elon Musk. Now, I want to be clear that it wasn't perfect. Obviously, there were some technical difficulties at the start, but outside of that, it was very successful, and even the technical difficulties at the start, it wasn't that big of a deal. Now, some people are going to say, well, you claimed the DeSantis interview, that was a disaster because of it. Well, there's a big difference between the Trump interview and the DeSantis one. For starters, the technical difficulties, all it did was delay the interview by like 20 minutes. It didn't, cut DeSantis off halfway and then they had to restart the space and it was a mess. Here it was, yeah, they didn't start on time, but it wasn't Trump was speaking and then all of a sudden the interview just cut out. That's not what happened here. It was, yeah, we had to wait a little bit longer than expected, but there weren't any technical difficulties outside of the start. It wasn't that, oh, Trump was speaking, then all of a sudden the weird music began to kick in and then you heard nothing, like the DeSantis interview. It was, yeah, it was delayed by 20 minutes, but outside of that, it ran very smoothly. And Elon Musk even clarified that there was a DDoS attack. That's why they were having problems right off the bat. Plus, there's like 1.3 million people that tuned in. That's not a misquote. That's not a joke. There are 1.3 million concurrent viewers. So yeah, it's kind of expected, I guess, that there might be some problems here and there, but it wasn't the same as the DeSantis interview. And on top of that, unlike the DeSantis interview, I wasn't bored. Like, the DeSantis one, no one gave a shit about. They went on and on about woke, Fauci, COVID. It's like, no one cares. But this interview, they actually talked about stuff that people gave a shit about. They talked about immigration, foreign policy, energy, the economy, things that actually matter. But I would say the best part of this interview overall was the fact that it wasn't a jackass reporter asking questions and then trying to get a gotcha question on Trump. It was Elon Musk and Trump having a reasonable discussion about a bunch of issues. That's what this interview was. It was more of a conversation than an actual interview. And that part made me realize we have never really seen Trump in a civil discussion. Every time he talks to the press, they're usually hostile. They usually ask dumb questions, gotcha questions, not a discussion like this was. And that's what I liked about it. It was good. It was fresh. It was something different. Not just, oh yeah, the orange man, if elected, will become a racist and he's the second coming of Hitler. It's like, yeah, right. It was, no, here's an actual question. What do you think we should do about it? And Trump gave his answer, and Elon Musk discussed it with them. That's what I liked about it. And I would argue, I think the Trump campaign should do this more often. Like once a week, or even like once every other week. Do a Twitter space like this, because it's clear a bunch of people will tune in. Look at this. As of this morning, there were 1 billion views about the conversation with Trump. Now, does that mean 1 billion people tuned in? No. But there were 1 billion views on not just the space, but on conversations about the space. 1 billion views. That's a big number. You're talking about tens of millions of people that read something about it. They watched a clip. There was something they heard about it. Think about that. Tens of millions of people. That's free advertising. And all you have to do is just start a Twitter space and talk for a couple hours. Which, by the way, can you imagine Kamala Harris going and doing a X interview with Elon Musk? She wouldn't last 5 minutes. Trump, meanwhile, he talked for like 2 hours. 2 hours. Most interviews, they last like 5 minutes. And a lot of stuff is cut out. But here, it's fully unedited. There's no teleprompters. There's no script. We got to hear everything. And that's what I like about this. And I argued this last night that this could be Trump's modern day fireside chat. For those that don't know, FDR, when he was the president, he had something called a fireside chat. Basically, he talked to the American people through the radio. It was tens of millions of people tuned in. Well, doesn't that sound familiar? Tens of millions of people tuned in last night or talked about the conversation. This could be a modern day fireside chat for Trump. Do a space like once a week or hell, just like even once a month. You're talking about tens of millions of people that will tune in. Tens of millions of people. That's free advertising. You would be dumb to just ignore that. Again, I am not saying make your entire campaign online. No. That's what the DeSantis campaign did, and we all know that was a complete disaster, right? I mean, seriously, they launched their campaign on X, and that was a failure. And that's a big difference, by the way, between what Trump did here and what DeSantis did. Trump's been running for like 2 years now. This wasn't his announcement. This wasn't his first speech. No, this was just a civil interview or discussion with Musk. Not what DeSantis did, where he announced his candidacy on a Twitter space and had a clearly scripted speech prepared. Trump he spoke unfiltered. He said whatever he wanted to say. I mean, he called Biden low IQ. I think he even said that Biden had no IQ. He had low IQ 30 years ago, and then he has no IQ now. That's pure Trump. DeSantis, it was woke, COVID, woke. COVID, the economy, woke. It's like, no one cares. And then he talks about Florida for 5 minutes. It's like, dude, you're clearly scripted. Trump wasn't. He said a lot of funny things. He was funny. He was entertaining. That's why I'm saying Trump should do more of this. People will tune in and they're going to laugh at what Trump says. Not laugh at him. Laugh with him. Like, look at this. This, I would argue, is one of the funniest clips of the night. Just watch.
The sort of slide that got you to turn that saved your life, really, was the illegal immigration slide. Maybe this,
That's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that.
It was
that slide. That slide saved
You're
your
right.
life.
No,
Basically.
the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it was
See, it's like stuff like that. For those that don't get what he's talking about, you know that immigration slide at his rallies, and it's actually right here. This is the one that everyone talks about. This was the chart that saved his life. Like, unironically, if it wasn't for this, he would be dead. Because when this was put on the screen, that's when Trump looked right. If it wasn't for that, well, he would probably be dead. Not a good thing to talk about, that's a fact. And, well, he's right. It saved his life, but he did it in a funny way, like, yeah, illegal immigration saved my life. I mean, there were moments like that. He called Biden no IQ. He made a joke about Congo, I think. It's just like, this is pure Trump. This is the Trump that we want to see more of. It's entertaining. It's funny. It's not scripted. Kamala Harris, can you imagine her telling a joke? It would be clearly scripted. It would be fake. No one would laugh. It's like, what? It would probably be a joke about, oh, Harris is a brat or something like that. That's the biggest difference. Now, am I saying this is going to make Trump win in a landslide? No. Anyone that thinks a Twitter space is going to suddenly flip a bunch of voters? Not necessarily. But I do think this was smart. He reached out to millions of people directly. This was unfiltered, uncensored. He didn't have to go through CNN to have an interview where they would cut out a lot of stuff, splice stuff up to make it sound like he said some bad stuff. No. This is 100% unfiltered, uncensored. And it was nearly perfect. Hell, we have a new meme template. Like, this was a picture of Trump talking on the space. Like, look at this. This is a new meme. Overall, it was a very good night for Trump. I mean, it was a good interview. It was entertaining, but also, most importantly, it was thoughtful. This was a thoughtful conversation that millions of people tuned into. They watched a clip. They read about it. It was thoughtful. They talked about issues that actually mattered. It wasn't just a random interview about woke or China. Well, there was stuff about China, but not just the entire interview about the CCP or Florida. It's like, no. They talked about immigration, the economy, and foreign policy. And I do think the foreign policy part was Trump's strongest moment. He talked about it. He was serious, like, yeah, we're getting closer to World War III. There's wars happening in the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia. That's a disaster. It's a complete and total joke. And it's serious. It's like, yeah, we are getting closer to World War III by the day. And the people running the country have no clue what the hell they're doing. In fact, some of them, they probably want World War III. Like, yeah, we want to fight Russia. We want to fight China directly. No. And Trump was right. It's like, he got along with Kim Jong-un, with President Xi, President Putin. He got along with them. And that doesn't mean that he's a supporter of them. It just means, yeah, he got along with them and prevented any conflicts. How is that a bad thing, by the way? I mean, seriously, how is it a bad thing to say, yeah, we have good relations with Russia? That doesn't mean we're gonna be best friends with them. That doesn't mean we're gonna bow down to them. It just means, yeah, we're gonna be civil. We're gonna stop the tension. We're gonna tune things down a little bit. We're gonna make sure war doesn't break out. Hell, Trump even made a joke about it. Like, look at this. I mean, this is another hilarious moment. Just watch.
And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do. And he said, no way. And I said, way.
I mean, that's pure Trump. He said no way, and I said way. Only politician that I could think of that would say something like this. And honestly, it works. Because his foreign policy was successful because of stuff like this. You had no clue what the hell he was going to do. If you did something that he thought was wrong, you don't know. He might do nothing. He might invade. He might nuke you. You don't know. That's why there wasn't any conflicts. That the world was getting more peaceful. Because no one knew what Trump would do if they did something wrong. That's why it was successful. And he's right. It's like, that's why Putin said no way. It's like, yeah, Trump would probably do something. You don't know. It sounds crazy, but he's the type of guy that would do it. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.